This is William Michael of the Classical Liberal Arts Academy, and in this video I'd like to provide students with a guide through the first of their lessons in Greek grammar and talk about the Greek alphabet. The textbook that I use in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy is an old Jesuit textbook that was written by a Jesuit grammarian named Jacob Gretzer. The edition that I'm using was published in 1757. So this is an old Jesuit textbook. You can see the cover of the book right there. You can see the Jesuit logo. Down the bottom you can see the date, 1757. I'll provide a cleaned up and reformatted copy of the text on the Academy website for students to use, but I'll be teaching out of this old book, and we'll simply walk through Gretzer's Greek grammar for students who've progressed in Latin studies in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy. The first lesson, as we get into the first part of grammar, will be Greek orthography, which means the study of letters and their sounds. And in this first chapter, I should say, Gretzer presents us with not only the alphabet and its sounds, but also with the division of letters, the diphthongs, and then some other issues that are important in Greek that we don't study in Latin, like accent and aspiration and things like that, which we'll get into and talk about as we learn to read the Greek alphabet and Greek words. So let's just begin with the first part. I'll walk through and as many videos as it takes for us to get through all of the content of this book. We'll just cut off videos as we approach an hour or so. I'll try to keep them under an hour. This textbook, like most old textbooks, is written in Latin. So the lessons that we'll study, you can see here the text is in Latin. Not sure if that's clear or not, but the text is in Latin, so I'll read the Latin, provide a translation, and then explain things in English so we can move comfortably through this. One of the benefits of studying Latin grammar in the Classical Liberal Arts Academy is that the structure of the grammar textbook, the methods of teaching, and so on are continued and repeated in the other languages like Greek and Hebrew. So the method of learning grammar in our Latin grammar course is especially helpful because it prepares you for the study of classical Greek and biblical Hebrew in the future. So let's begin with chapter 1, at least the first part of chapter 1, and we'll see how quickly we can move through these lessons as we work to study Greek grammar. Chapter 1, De Graecorum Litteris earumque divisionibus et affectionibus is the title. That means of the letters of the Greeks and of their divisions and affections, or sounds and pronunciation. So this is chapter 1. And then we read, Litteras habent Greci viginti quatuor, quarum figuras nomina potestas tesque subjecta tabula ostendit. Now what the text says there is, the Greeks have 24 letters in their alphabet. So there are 24 letters in the Greek alphabet, of which the figures, names, power, and powers are shown in the table below. And you can just see there's a table of letters in the original book. So let's just walk through the Greek alphabet. And we've learned that there are 24 letters in the Greek alphabet as opposed to 23 in the Latin alphabet and 26 in our modern English alphabet. So the first letter of the Greek alphabet is alpha, and I'll write these big so we can see them. First letter is alpha. The uppercase figure for alpha is written just like a capital A in English. And then the lowercase figure is written similar to an English lowercase a, similar but different. And that's the Greek letter alpha. Alpha. This letter is pronounced just like the Latin ah, the normal classical ah. So anytime in Greek that we see the letter alpha, we're going to read it with the sound ah. Phonics in classical languages are very simple. It's not like English where one letter can represent 5 or 6 different sounds. Anytime in Greek that we see the letter alpha, we'll read it with the sound ah. This letter, alpha, signifies the sound ah, ah. That's the first letter. The second letter of the Greek alphabet is beta. Beta. The uppercase form is written just like an uppercase English B or Latin uppercase B. The lowercase form, if this is our line on our paper, the lowercase b will start below the line and really just be a smaller version of that uppercase B, but it will begin with this tail. So that's the lowercase beta. And it's actually pronounced beta, beta, beta. And it makes the sound of the classical B, b, b. Anytime we see this letter, we read it with the sound b. So we've learned alpha and beta. So if in writing we see the Greek letters beta and alpha, or if we see alpha and beta, we can read this as ba, ba, and this as ab, ab, ba, ab. And that's it. There's no other pronunciations. There's no silent vowels, anything like we see in English. It's very simple. Simple phonics. One letter, one sound. Ba, ab. And that's all there is to it. The third letter in the Greek alphabet is gamma. Gamma. And I'll just start with a line here. The uppercase gamma, simply like that. And then the lowercase, what I'm going to teach students is, it looks like a Y. We write the lowercase gamma like that, and the name gamma. This is the third letter of the Greek alphabet. And you can see that these need to be memorized. There's no secret way to learn the Greek letters. We have to learn this as a different alphabet. And so gamma, the uppercase gamma and the lowercase gamma are the third of the letters of the Greek alphabet, gamma. This letter, anytime that we see this letter, it's used to signify the sound of the classical hard G. G, G, gamma, the third letter of the alphabet. So now we can construct a few different syllables. If we saw this, it would be ga. If we saw this, it would be ag. If we saw this, it would be bag. If we saw this, it would be gab. Gab, ga, ag, bag, gab. In uppercase letters, if we saw these three letters, we have the uppercase gamma, alpha, and beta. We would have gab, gab. And likewise, if we change the order, in Greek uppercase, this would be bag, bag, beta, alpha, gamma. And Greek reading is that simple. Once we memorize the figures for the Greek letters, phonics is very simple and straightforward. One letter, one sound. That's all there is to it. So far we've learned alpha, beta, and gamma. The fourth letter of the Greek alphabet is delta. And delta, uppercase, is simply a triangle. That's the uppercase delta. Just think at the top of the Nile River, I should say the bottom of the Nile River, is shaped like a triangle, and it's called the Nile Delta because it's shaped like the Greek letter delta. So the uppercase delta looks like a triangle. Lowercase delta looks like a lowercase d, but it's got this little cap on the top, and it comes around like that. Sort of a fancy lowercase d. And again, the name of this letter is delta, and it's pronounced with the classical D sound from Latin, d, d, simple classical D. So alpha, beta, gamma, and delta. Look at a couple syllables. If we saw this, we would have delta alpha, da, da. If we saw this in Greek, uppercase, ba, God, ba, God. And these are not actual Greek words. I'm just putting together letters to form syllables for the sake of learning the alphabet. Ba, God. This is the gamma. This is the delta. Ba, God. Okay? To look at lowercase letters we've studied so far, this would be da. This would be ad, ad. This would be bad. This would be dag, dag, delta, alpha, gamma. So it'll just take time to get used to the letters, recognizing the letters, remembering their sounds. And what I recommend is, as you get started with Greek grammar, you simultaneously get started with Greek reading. That'll help you to learn this more quickly. So, the first four letters of the alphabet: alpha, beta, gamma, delta. The fourth letter, or the fifth letter, sorry, is going to be epsilon. Epsilon. The uppercase letter looks just like an uppercase letter E. And the lowercase E is simply a fancier version of a smaller form of that E, easy to remember. The name epsilon, it's simply the letter E, and then this describes it. It means light or simple. So simple E, epsilon, the simple E. The epsilon is always short in speech, so we might call this the short E or the light E, epsilon. Easy to recognize in Greek because it looks like the English letter. So we've learned two vowels so far, alpha and epsilon, and we can just put together syllables. Ba, be, ab, eb. Very simple. Da, ge, egg, ed. Okay? So 5 letters so far: alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon. Just practice reading the letters and their sounds. Very simple classical phonics. Very simple, easy to learn to read. Much easier than learning to read English. The 6th letter that we learn is zeta. Alpha, beta, gamma, delta, epsilon, zeta. The uppercase form looks just like an uppercase Z in Latin or English. The lowercase form takes a little bit of practice writing. It starts with a little cap, then a line that comes down on an angle to the bottom, and it curves across this line with a little tail. As I said, that letter takes some time practicing, just like handwriting, learning to write letters. But this is the letter Zeta, and I'll draw that again. It's a little cap on the top, a diagonal line down to the baseline, across, and a little tail at the end. That's the Zeta. And it makes the sound of the classical Z. We can just say Z, Z. All right? That's the 6th letter of the Greek alphabet. Zeta, Zeta, sound of the letter Z, Z. So alpha, zeta would make Az. Beta, alpha, zeta would make Baz. Epsilon, zeta, Ez. Gamma, epsilon, zeta, Gez. Zeta, alpha, beta, Zab. This is the letter Zeta, the 6th letter of the Greek alphabet. The next letter is our 3rd vowel. The uppercase form looks like an uppercase H in English or Latin. The lowercase form looks like an N with a long leg. And this is the Greek vowel Eta. Before we learned the epsilon, and we said that the epsilon is like a short E, a light or simple E. The eta would be the long E. It's pronounced with the sound and is always long. Eta. So now we have 3 vowels. We have alpha, epsilon, and eta. In uppercase, we have alpha, epsilon, and eta. You can see this would be confusing because it looks like an H, but you have to memorize the alphabet. Alpha, epsilon, eta. So, just to combine letters to form syllables, we could have, that would be zeta and eta, ze. Beta, eta, delta would be bed. So practice reading, practice writing. Just like you were taking a handwriting class, practice writing the Greek letters using the forms provided in the letters. So we've studied 7 letters so far, I think, 4 consonants, 3 Greek vowels. The next letter in the alphabet is Theta. I'll write the name here. Theta. It's made by drawing a large O, like an uppercase O, with a line across the middle. That's simple. You might see fancier forms of it, but that's the essential shape of the figure of the letter theta. And then the lowercase figure is usually drawn like a smaller oval with a line through the center. That's the letter theta. Now, the sound of the letter theta, and you can hear how I'm pronouncing it, theta, that's really not the true classical sound of this letter. That's the common sound that's used in modern Greek courses. We could pronounce this letter with the TH in the word thin. Theta, like thin, okay? But really, if we want to be perfect, the actual sound of this letter is really more like the sound in the English name Thomas. Thomas. You hear it's like the sound of a T with aspiration, with breath. T, t. That's the real classical sound of the letter theta, which would be pronounced Theta, Theta. And we'll see why, though we don't have to say that when we study Greek or read Greek. It's actually more common to pronounce it like thin. We'll see that to understand the rules of Greek orthography, we need to make sure we understand this, because the rules, the way words and syllables change, is based on the classical sound. So make sure it's okay to use this, like everyone does in Greek classes, but make sure you understand that the real classical sound of this letter was theta, okay? Like Thomas. So that's the Greek letter theta, another consonant. So to practice reading, this would be read beta epsilon theta beth, beth, beth. Bath, bath, bath. Now I should say before we get any further, one practice that may be helpful for you as you study is called transliteration. Transliteration. And what you can do is take any syllables or words that are written in Greek letters and convert them into English or Latin letters. It's called transliteration. So for example, for beta epsilon theta, we could write Beth. This is called transliteration. We've changed from Greek letters to Latin letters. This here would be Bath. The beta, the alpha, and the theta. Okay, so make sure you practice with these letters, and transliteration is a good way to practice. Perhaps I'll use some transliteration exercises on the lesson quizzes. We'll see about that. The next letter is Yota, another vowel. Yota is written like an uppercase I. Oops, the name is Yota. The lowercase I is usually written like a lowercase English I, usually with a little tail and no dot. Yota. Looks like an uppercase I, looks like a lowercase I with no dot. The tail is optional. You could just write it as a lowercase I without a dot, but it's Yota, and it makes the sound of the classical E, just like Latin, E. So that adds to the vowels we have to work with. So far, in review, we've learned alpha, we've learned epsilon, we've learned eta, and we've learned iota. Alpha, epsilon, eta, and iota, 4 vowels. And we can use the consonants to combine them as we please to form different syllables and practice Greek reading. So let's just take these are completely artificial words just to practice with the different sounds. Gamma, alpha, beta, iota, zeta, eta, theta, epsilon. We can use transliteration and write this as gamma, alpha, beta, iota, zeta, eta we write as a long E, theta we write as the digraph TH, and then epsilon as a simple E. Ga, bi, ze, the. Ga, bi, ze, the. again, these are just sort of nonsense exercises to practice recognizing the Greek letters and either reading them using the simple classical phonics or transliterating them as a way of proving you can identify the Greek letter with English writing. Okay, so that takes us through 4 vowels. And we move on to the next letter, which is Kappa. Very simple. Kappa is simply an uppercase letter K. Looks just like the uppercase K. The lowercase form is simply a smaller version, like that. That's Kappa. Always makes the sound of the classical Kappa. So we can have, when we have the right in the word, we have ka. Here's a syllable, ka. We can have ke. That's kappa eta. So ke, long e, ke. Kappa yota, ki, ki. The Greek consonant kappa. Easy to recognize in Greek because it looks like the letter K. Next we have lambda. Make sure when you spell it, you don't forget this B. It's lambda, lambda. Lambda. The uppercase form looks like a delta with no base. Like a triangle with no base. That's the uppercase lambda. And a simple way of writing the lowercase lambda is a diagonal line like that with a kickstand. Looks like that. You may see fancier script versions of the lambda, but that's the essential figure of the lowercase lambda. Uppercase is like a delta with no base. The lowercase, a diagonal line with a kickstand or leg, as it were. That's lambda. Simply makes the classical L, lambda. The next is a consonant mu. Looks like an uppercase M. Very simple, very easy to recognize. This is the Greek consonant mu, pronounced mu. To make the lowercase, simply draw a vertical line down through the baseline and then write what would be an English U after that line. So a vertical line through the baseline and an English lowercase u makes the figure that we will call lowercase mu in Greek. And the Greek letter mu simply makes the classical M sound, ma. Very easy to recognize, very easy to read, mu. The next letter we have is the consonant nu. Just like the classical N. The uppercase figure looks like an N. The lowercase figure looks like a lowercase v in English or Latin. Nu. It's pronounced with the classical N sound, n. So you're going to have to remember that the letter in Greek that looks like a lowercase v is actually the nu, and it makes the sound n, nu. So at that point we've got a bunch of consonants and 4 vowels so far. So you should actually be able to read the name of the letter lambda at this point because we've studied all of these letters. We have the lambda, the alpha, the mu, the beta, delta, and alpha. We can transliterate it as lambda, lambda. And you're getting to the point now where we can start making some real words. For example, in Greek, gamma, alpha, lambda, alpha. This makes the word gala, which means milk. in Greek. Gala. The third letter of the alphabet is gamma. Gamma. Gamma alpha, mu, mu alpha. That's the name of the third letter of the alphabet, gamma. So we can begin to read real Greek words by the time we've reached the letter nu in the Greek alphabet. Let's keep moving along. This may seem like I'm moving quickly. I would never move this quickly in a live class, but because this is a video lesson, you can pause and back up and replay as many times as you like, so it's good for me to simply cover the material and move quickly because you're in control of the video. It's unlike a live classroom where the teacher's in control. Of the video, the student is actually in control. So if it seems like I'm moving quickly, just hit pause and back up and watch it again. So we're through nu. The next letter is another vowel. It's Omicron. And this letter is just Omicron. And you know this word micron, it's where we get the word microscope. It means small, small. So Omicron means small o, small o. And later on, we'll learn another letter, Omega, which means Omega, great O. So we have small o and great O, Omicron and Omega, two different O's in the alphabet. But here we're learning Omicron, very simple. The uppercase figure just looks like an uppercase O. Lowercase figure looks like a lowercase o. Omicron, the small o. It's always short. Omicron. So, to work with some pronunciation, we've learned alpha, epsilon, eta, Yota, and Omicron. We've learned 5 vowels so far and a bunch of consonants. A, E, I, O. The 5 vowels that we learned so far. And you can just play with syllables. Ba, be, be, bi, bo, ga, ge, gi, ge, go, da, de, di. Actually, I should put eta here. De, di, do, za, ze, or I'm sorry, ze, ze, zi, zo. And just exercise yourself, making syllables, practicing the letters, practicing basic Greek phonics. Okay? Let's just do some more like that for the sake of exercise. We'll pick up later in the alphabet. We have la, or I should do it simpler form to keep it simple. La, le, li, lo. Ma, me, mi, mo. Na, that's the new alpha. Na, ne, ni, no. Simple classical Greek phonics. Practice writing the letters, combine them with, or writing the consonants, combine them with vowels, practice pronunciation, practice transliteration, and so on. Let's keep moving. We're through Omicron so far. As we move on in the alphabet, our next Greek letter will be, in English, we commonly pronounce this as pi, but really the correct pronunciation is P. This is a classical Yota, P. The uppercase figure for P looks like a pillar, 2 columns and a crossbeam. That's the uppercase P. The lowercase p looks like it, like this. Sometimes you'll see it with a squiggly top. Often you'll see it, and you may prefer to write it just with a straight top like the uppercase. P, uppercase, lowercase always makes the sound of the classical letter P. Pa. Very simple. The next letter, another consonant, is going to be Rho. When you say this letter, what you should actually do is start with the sound of the H, the breath, and follow it with the R. Rho. That's the correct pronunciation. Rho. The uppercase Rho looks like a Latin uppercase P. So this is another one that can be confusing when you begin reading. Remember, the uppercase P in Greek looks like that. This is actually the uppercase Rho. And the lowercase Rho starts below the line and comes up around like that. That's the lowercase Rho. And it makes the sound of the classical trilled R, like a Spanish R. If you can't make the trill sound, it's no big deal. Pronounce it like an English R. The letter Rho. The next letter is sigma. And sigma is unique because it has 3 different forms. The uppercase is pretty simple. Draw a horizontal line above and a horizontal line on the baseline, and then 2 diagonal lines to make the sigma. That's the uppercase sigma. And then there are 2 other forms. First, we'll have the lowercase sigma, which starts like a lowercase Omicron, but has a hat, like that. That's the common lowercase sigma. The third form starts like a lowercase c and has a tail, like that. This here is called final sigma. This is only used at the end of a word. It's only used at the end of a word. That's why it's called final sigma. So if you're writing the letter sigma at the beginning or anywhere in the middle of a word, you would use the normal sigma. But at the end of a word, you would use this final sigma. So for example, the Greek word logos is written like this. Logos. Make sure you remember that this is not written as a lowercase s. Okay? That's not the right way to write it. It's written like a C with a tail that extends under the baseline. That's the final sigma. So if there was a line under this word, it would be written like that. Logos. Okay, you see the final sigma. So that's sigma. Uppercase sigma, lowercase sigma, final sigma. Next, we have the consonant Tau. This is pronounced Tau. Looks like an uppercase T. Very simple. The lowercase form is just a smaller t. Sometimes it's written with a little tail like this. Tau makes the sound of the classical T. Ta, ta, ta. Tau. Very easy to recognize and read in speech. So let's review real quick. We've learned a bunch of consonants now. We have the vowels alpha, epsilon, eta, Yota, and Omicron. And just to use the last few consonants we've looked at, we have pa, pe, pe, pi, po. Then we have ra, re, re, long eta, ri, ro. Then we have the sigma, sa, se, si, se, the eta, si, and so, and tau, ta, te, te, ti, to. So just practice forming syllables, combining the consonants with the Greek vowels. Pa, pe, pe, pi, po. Ra, re, re, ri, ro. Sa, se, si, so. Ta, te, ti, to. That brings us through the consonant Tau. Getting close to the end now. The next letter in the alphabet is another vowel. Before we saw epsilon, and we learned it means e simple or e light, epsilon. Here we learn u, psilon, upsilon. Upsilon, the uppercase form for the upsilon looks like a capital Y in English. So draw a V and a vertical line. Looks like an uppercase Y. Upsilon. Upsilon. The lowercase form can be written just like a lowercase u, like that, but usually it'll have a tail or some kind of fancier script form. But it looks just like a lowercase u. This is upsilon. It means simple u. Now, this is a strange vowel. It doesn't have an equivalent in Latin or in English. It's not like the letter u. It's different. It's like the German sound, and the way we pronounce this is, imagine if inside your mouth you're going to make the sound E, 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 and just start saying that to yourself. Say E, E, E. Make that sound E. But keep everything the same inside your mouth, but change your lips so that they're rounded, like you're going to say oo, oo, oo. Inside, say E. On the lips, say oo. Put that together and it makes this unique sound. U, 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 U. That's the sound of the classical upsilon. Okay? U, U, U. It's awkward for English speakers, but that's the correct sound. Now, in modern Greek classes, in everyday Greek studies and reading, you can just read it with the sound of the Latin u. That's fine, okay? But to be perfect, to be true to the classical pronunciation, it would have more of that French or German sound. U, U, U. All right? Upsilon. Another Greek vowel. That brings us to the last four letters of the Greek alphabet. Next we have what in English is commonly called Phi, but that's not proper pronunciation. Before I showed you with the theta, I said it's like the TH in Thomas. Okay? Ta, ta, ta. That's actually what this letter, we could say phi to pronounce the vowel correctly, but even more perfectly, it's P. It's a combination of a P with aspiration or breath. P. But that's very uncommon today, and normally we say phi or phi, okay? In order to draw the uppercase phi, what we'll do is draw an uppercase Yota. Draw the uppercase Yota. And then inside that Yota, draw a circle. That's a simple way to draw the uppercase Phi. It's a Yota. Make this a little nicer. It's a Yota with a circle around that vertical line. As for the lowercase, draw a circle on the line and a vertical line down below the baseline. Uppercase Phi, lowercase Phi. As for the pronunciation of this letter, like I said, if you want to be perfect, it would be the combination of the sound P and P. But the way that most people pronounce it is just like the English PH in phone. That's how it's been anglicized, and that's how most people will pronounce it. So if you don't want to sound like a weirdo, you can just say it with the PH in phone, okay? Phi, like phone, transliterated as PH. Next, we have, it's commonly called Chi in modern English, but more perfectly it's Ki. Definitely not Chi. That CH sound in cheese does not come from classical Greek. So Ki, combination of that hard K sound with aspiration. Ki. The uppercase Ki is written just like an uppercase X. And the lowercase key is written in the same way. The way I like to write it is start with a line that goes down to the baseline, and then the second line bring down below the baseline. Okay, that's the key. It can be transliterated as CH, but remember that this is always like CH in chorus, like chorus, not like cheese or church. Chorus, that hard, aspirated C sound. That's key. The last consonant is psi. To draw the uppercase psi, start again with the Yota. And instead of drawing a circle like we did for Phi, we're going to just draw a U through it. Psi. And the lowercase form is similar. Draw a U with a line through it. Okay? That's Psi. It's a double consonant. Transliterated with PS, it makes the sound of the double consonant. Ps. That's the Greek psi. And then the last letter, number 24, I mentioned it before, it's the omega. Omega, which means great O, as opposed to Omicron, which means small o. Omega. To draw the uppercase omega, start at the baseline, just draw a bubble like that, and then give it 2 feet. That's the uppercase omega. The lowercase omega is like a rounded W. That's the lowercase omega. The omega is always pronounced like a long O. 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 So the letter eta is always long, and the letter omega is always long. E, O, as opposed to epsilon and omicron, which are always short. Okay? Eta and omega are always long. Omega, great O. So that's all of the letters of the Greek alphabet, all 24 letters. We can just practice writing any word now. You can begin, once you learn the alphabet, there are a few other things to learn, like accent marks and breathing marks, which we'll learn in another video. We're already at 51 minutes in this video, but you've seen all 24 of the Greek letters. You can see that you need to memorize the figures and their names. You need to memorize the sounds they represent, but it's much simpler than English because there are only 24 letters and they only represent 24 sounds. Now you can read just about any Greek word that there is, even complicated ones, like if I write okay, draw our line across there. This is alpha. This is nu. Here we have the theta, rho. Here we have an omega, which is a long O. P, omicron, and final sigma. This is our Greek word anthropos. Anthropos, which means man, like the study of anthropology, anthropos. Anthropos, which means man. The word for woman in Greek, draw the line so you can see where the letters are. This is gamma. This is the upsilon, which should be transliterated with the letter Y. Letter nu, just transliterated as N. And the eta, which is transliterated as a long E. So gune, gune. This is the Greek word for woman, gune. It's where the word gynecology comes from. Gynecology, gynekologia. So you should be able to read any word that you come across in Greek. In Greek reading, if you're working on Greek reading, which you should be, you'll get started with the Gospel of John. En arche ein ho logos kai ho logos, and so on. You'll see other marks. You'll see, for example, breathing marks. Anytime a word begins with a vowel, you'll see breathing marks like that. This backwards C means that there's no breath added to the vowel. This rough breathing mark that looks like a C means we add breath. So this would be e, a, e. This with a rough breathing would be ho, ho. Logos, no breathing mark because it starts with a consonant. Chi starts with a consonant. Again, we have ho and then logos. in addition to the breathing marks, which we're going to learn in another video, so don't get worried. In addition to the breathing marks, we'll also have accent marks. So we'll have something like this. The circumflex accent means that we go up and down on the same vowel. Arche, arche. Ein, ho, logos, kai, ho, logos. So we'll see breathing marks and accent marks, but as far as the alphabet is concerned, you now know, if you study this lesson, study this video, memorize the names of the Greek letters, their figures, and their sounds, you'll be able to read any word in Greek. It takes some time, takes repetition, takes some drilling and practice, but not a complicated study. This really is the biggest obstacle for Greek studies. If you're already able to read Latin, if you already are studying Latin grammar, learning to read Greek is very simple. Just watch this. If we take these opening words from the Gospel of John in Greek, and if we already know the opening line from the Gospel of John in Latin, it's word for word. In principio erat, no article, verbum, et, no article in Latin, verbum. If you study Latin and then come to Greek, it's almost word for word. It's very, very easy to study Greek after you've studied Latin. The biggest obstacle is the alphabet. Once you learn the Greek alphabet, the study of Greek is really quite simple. It's an easier language to learn than Latin, and the translation work we do is very easy after you've already done the Latin translation work. So I'm going to cut this video off here. It's almost an hour. I hope that's a helpful walk through the Greek alphabet. Study this lesson for mastery, drill yourself, practice. I'll provide some quizzes to help you, but as soon as you're able to identify, name, and read each Greek letter, there's no complicated phonics in Greek. It's very simple. So once you learn the alphabet, we can get started reading. I'm advising you to enroll in Greek reading and study that as we study Greek grammar. It'll help you greatly. I hope that's helpful. God bless your studies.